Hi, everyone. My name is Shannon Woolfolk. I'm a junior in electrical engineering at Virginia Tech, and we will be presenting. Jessica is here with me as well. We'll be presenting on the College of Engineering. So, what it takes to be an engineer: 5 things that we've basically summed up for you. The first is creativity. You need to be innovative. Sometimes you're going to be coming up with solutions that, to problems that haven't been solved. And so having a creative aspect and being able to come up with new things is really important. Teamwork. Most of the work that you're doing in engineering is team based. Two minds are better than one. So making sure that you have those teamwork skills and that you can work well in a team and communicate is really important, especially if you want to be a successful student in engineering. Study habits. Hopefully you developed them a little bit in high school with like a rigorous high school background, but in engineering, sometimes the classes can be a little bit harder. So making sure that you've developed study habits to ensure that you know what it takes to get you to where you want to be a successful student is really important. An interest in math and science. Everything that you do in engineering has a foundation in math and science, so make sure that you have an interest in at least one of them, preferably both, so that you enjoy what you're doing. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the challenging high school background, usually through like AP or IB or like any advanced placement program that you have at your school.
Hey everyone, my name is Jessica. I'm a senior in biological systems engineering, and I'll be helping out. And just another thing that I wanted to mention about the previous slide is if your school like doesn't offer AP classes or IB classes or enrollment, that's okay. We just look to see that you have taken advantage of what was offered to you. So if your school only has like 3 AP classes, did you take advantage and take like 1 or 2 of them? If they don't offer any at all, just taking the most challenging courses that your school offers. So here is the freshman engineering class of 2019. So the average reported GPA was a 4.07 on a 5.0 scale. This by no means is you need to have this GPA in order to get in, but people often ask for the average. So if your school doesn't go to a 5.0 scale, that's okay. They'll take the unweighted GPA that you have and scale it up to what it would have been if it were on that scale. And then for the average SAT math and reading scores, math was a 689 and reading was a 649. Again, you don't have to have these scores in order to get in. This is just the average of the students from the class of 2019. The percentage of females in the College of Engineering is 23.2%, so that's a bit above the average, the United States average. And then the underrepresented and underserved minority groups is 26.4%.
On the screen, you'll see a bunch of barcodes. You can scan these or take a picture of them and visit them later. There are links to different pages. The orange barcode will take you to the website that will talk about the common entry point in classes. So what's really unique about Virginia Tech is that all freshman engineering students come in as general engineering, as opposed to like picking like mechanical engineering or computer science. So it gives you a year to kind of explore like the different engineering pathways and your interests without setting your graduation date back, which is really helpful because a lot of students maybe have an interest in a lot of different things and need that time to narrow down. The gray barcode is a link to like if you took your advanced placement classes, like anything where you had like an end of the year exam, you can go to that page and see what will transfer over to Virginia Tech, as well as the grade that you would need to get that credit transferred. The purple is for our pathways for general education. So pathways are basically like your general education classes. So you have to take classes in like math and science, which are covered in your engineering, but also maybe like 2 semesters of English or something in like the social sciences, something like that. So there's 45 credit hours and like different disciplines. That's typically where students get their transfer credits. But definitely check those out. You can see the areas and some of the classes for that as well. And then the blue barcode explains a little bit more about our general engineering curriculum. So everyone as a freshman comes into general engineering, and then at the end of their freshman year, if you have a 3.0 or higher, then you pick the engineering discipline that you want to go into, and you're guaranteed a spot in that major. So as long as you have that 3.0 or above, you'll continue into sophomore year with the major that you want. If you have between a 2.0 and a 3.0, then what you'll do is you'll request your top three choices, and then after they've put everyone with a 3.0 or higher in that respective major, if there's space left over, then they'll put you into the three choices that you pick, or one of your three choices. But essentially, the important thing to remember is if you have that 3.0 or higher, you're guaranteed a spot. Whether there's more students than space in the department, they will make room for you.
So the Foundations of Engineering course is a 2-semester class that all freshmen have to take, and it really goes over the different aspects of engineering. We talk about um, data collection, analysis, different problem solving skills, modeling, and design tools. For modeling, we use like CAD, SolidWorks, Inventor, and things like that. And then we talk about professional practices and engineering fields and majors. So, also a part of this class, if you come into engineering and you really don't know what you want to do, but you know you want to do engineering, in this class in the first semester, we're required to go to 3 different information sessions for 3 different majors. So, you're going to go to obviously the one you're interested in, but then venture out and go to 2 other ones and learn more about those as well. So, it kind of gives students a different gauge of what they might like and expose them to other majors that are also out there. In the second part, in the spring, we do a engineering design projects. So some of the projects we have are like a race car. This one here in the corner you see, it's a drone. So it's like an airplane. And that was my project when I was a freshman. And then the other one on the right, you see that they made a wind turbine and it's supposed to spin and generate a certain amount of energy. And so it was really cool to see our projects go from, drawings to, 3D modelings and then just actually making them in person and going through that whole process.
This slide shows the breakdown of all the different engineering disciplines within the College of Engineering. So this large portion on the pie graph for general engineering, that's all the freshmen who haven't declared what major they want to go into yet. And then the rest of the areas, if you divide each number by 3, that's how many students in each graduating class are in that respective major. And it can kind of give you an idea of, like how large the department is, especially like I know a common question is like how big are your class sizes and things like that. And so, mechanical engineering, as you see, is larger, so they have more students. Maybe your class sizes are a little bit bigger than like mining, who only has like 81 students over 3 graduating classes. But that's just a little bit of statistics. Definitely don't take these numbers at face value and think that if you divide by 3, that's how many people are in each class, because the class sizes vary and definitely depend on the class that you're taking.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about the different opportunities you have being in engineering. So we have our engineering related minors. You can minor in whatever you want, but these are just the engineering related ones. So computer science, cybersecurity, green engineering, biomedical engineering, and those are the 2 or 3 that are like engineering majors that can be considered minors as well. So like you can't minor in aerospace or something like that because that's not one of the minors that we offer. Then we have a bunch of undergrad research going on. Just as we are D1 in sports, we are R1 in research. So we have a lot of money and a lot of different research opportunities coming in, and they fund those different research projects going on. We have a lot of study abroad opportunities. If you work with your advisor, they can work with you to try to see if you want to study abroad in another country. Some of my friends have been to Brazil and Germany. I've been to South America, so there's a bunch of different opportunities for you to do that. We have professional societies and engineering organizations. Almost every major, I would say, has their own professional society. And then for engineering organizations, we have organizations like SWE, which is the Society of Women Engineers, NESB, which is National Society of Black Engineers. SHIP, and a bunch of other ones, and the list goes on.
This is a map of the various different companies that Dean's team members have interned and co-opted with. So what's really popular at Virginia Tech is students going and taking an internship over the summer and a co-op over the semester. So if you're not familiar with those two terms, an internship is working full-time with a company over a school break. So most commonly summer vacation, sometimes winter vacation as well. But it's a great way to gain industry experience and see how what you're learning in classes can apply in industry. A co-op is a student working as a full-time employee, but it's during the semester. So they take a contracted leave from the university, go work full-time for a company, and then come back and graduate. So I know a lot of like parents especially are like, I don't want my student to leave college because they might not come back, but it's just so that Virginia Tech will reserve your spot so that you don't have to like focus on reapplying when you come back or anything. And again, it's a great way to gain that industry experience and, make some money on the side. And then I just want to point out a quick thing. The companies that you see here listed are not all of them, and definitely not all of the companies that Virginia Tech students intern or co-op with, because if we put all the companies up here, it would be a huge long list. You wouldn't be able to see the map, but this is just to give you a general idea of some of the bigger companies that like to recruit Virginia Tech students.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about career fairs. So we have many different career fairs. Our biggest one is Engineering Expo, which happens in the fall, and like hundreds of companies pre-register and come recruit Virginia Tech students. We have a saying called "Hokies hire Hokies." So the alumni will go and graduate and come back as recruiters and to hire our students. And it really just goes to show that these companies that come every single year really love the work that our students do and know that we're equipped to work and perform very well at their company. Also, each major usually has their own career fair, usually in the fall and the spring as well. So there's multiple opportunities for students to get jobs.
So, really great opportunity that Virginia Tech has are these programs called living learning communities. And it's essentially like if you're a part of a living learning community or LLC, then all the students like are within a community. Like for Galileo and Hypatia, it's all these students are in engineering and they live all in one dorm. So in this case, it's Hogue Hall. Galileo being the male portion, male engineering students, Hypatia being female. And this is a really great opportunity for freshmen. I participated in it my freshman year because it really helps with your transition from high school into college and also preparing you for industry and professional life. So one, you have to take a class, it's like 1 credit hour, your freshman year fall semester. And it's basically professional development. So they'll help you with your resume, work on your elevator pitch, prepare you for the career fairs that Jessica mentioned earlier, and basically give you a leg up from your other engineering peers. You also get a mentor who actually lives in the dorm with you. They're an upperclassman, so they've taken most of the same classes that you have, and can basically, give you additional resources, help you transition, and just be, someone to talk to. They do have a bunch of social events, like there's like Slush Rush and things like that, where you can talk to professors about their research. And something really cool is that they have in Hogue Hall, there's a maker space. So like it's basically like a tech workshop kind of thing. There's like 3D printers, laser cutters, and you can like go in there and like just use any of the materials in there and make whatever you want. And it's only available to people in Galileo and Hypatia who live in Hogue Hall. So it's definitely a great opportunity. You don't have to have accepted your acceptance to tech to apply. So definitely, if you're thinking about going to tech, you've already been offered your acceptance letter, just go for it and apply, because the wait list, it does fill up quickly. But it's a really great opportunity, gives you a lot of friends, mentors, resources. So definitely check that out.
Now we're going to talk about peer mentoring and steps. So if you decide not to live in the engineering dorm, we still have a bunch of different resources and opportunities for you. So the peer mentoring program is similar to the Galpatia program, and it has you get a mentor for the first 10 weeks, which is an upperclassman, and they help you with the same things, helping you with that transition from high school to college. And then when you get to college, you already have someone you know, someone who you can go and get help with anything, and things like that. So it's a super duper great program. And then STEP, which stands for the Summer Transition to Engineering Program, is a 5-week program over the summer, and it's the summer before you get to college. So you're basically going to be a freshman 2.0 if you do this program, because you take the same math, the same chemistry classes, and the same engineering courses as if you were going to be taking them in the fall, but you take them in the span of 5 weeks. So, yes, it is rushed, but also it's very fast paced, but it does prepare you. So for those students who don't necessarily study that much, or they like need a little bit extra help studying, or just understanding how college is going to move in general, this is a very eye opening experience for a lot of students. And they always enjoy it in the end because you're with the same professors that you would be with in the fall, especially for chemistry. You basically do the whole first 2 months of chemistry classes over the summer, and you have like all the homework, basically what the test is going to look like, so you're super duper prepared. The grades that you get over the summer don't count, and that's a good thing, because if your student doesn't do so well over the summer, they're more prepared to see what to expect once the school year actually starts. And the size is always about the size that you see in the top right corner. And you come with a group of students, and you have friends, and then you already know the campus. So it's a super duper great program. I highly recommend it.
Another way to get involved in industry and get an application of what you're learning in classes is to join a design team. So the motto for a design team is hands on, minds on, and most of them are centered and focused in the Ware Lab. But a design team is basically a student-run group who work on some type of project to be competed in an annual or every 2-year competition, and that can be like globally, nationally, like internationally, like you name it. There's tons of different competitions and design teams out there. So you can see a few pictures. This one, the top left picture is HEVT. They're working on an hybrid electric vehicle. Then there's things like Concrete Canoe and the submarine. There's tons of different things. If you're interested in like chemistry and chemical engineering, there's ChemiCar, which is like a car powered completely by chemical reactions. A lot of different ones for race cars. There's like Baja SAE and Formula SAE. Things for aerospace and like drones, things like that. Tons of different opportunities and ways for students to get involved. And something that's really great is a lot of industries sponsor these design teams. So it's a great way to also gain that networking experience. And a lot of students who like work on these design teams like get internships through companies that sponsor them as well. But it's a really great way to kind of like apply what you're learning in school in your classes into something that you enjoy. Like who can say that when they graduated college, they helped build a race car or something. So it's a really great opportunity. And I think ChemiCar just came back from winning. I don't know the scale of the competition, but they got first. So definitely a really great opportunity if you're interested.
So some of our engineering rankings, we are ranked 13 for best undergraduate program and 31 for best graduate program. The American Society of Engineering Education were number 7 for the producer of engineers, and 8 for producer of women engineers. So, and if you look at our rankings for each of our majors, engineering majors individually, we're in at least the top 15, top 20 across the United States. So that's a very high ranking. So what it goes to show is whatever major you choose, you're going to be in a top ranked major regardless. So if you decide to change your major, also the same thing applies.
Of the last 5 years, the freshmen who enter into general engineering and then continue into a major of their choice is roughly 90%. So that's just to show you that, you know, a like the classes that you're taking freshman year are not weed out classes. Like Virginia Tech wants you to succeed. And if you're struggling, there are tons of different resources available to you. And this number is higher in Hypatia and Galileo. I think it's like, I want to say above 95%. So definitely a ton of resources available. After graduation, the graduating class, 70%, 74% were employed. So that means that they had a job offer. They knew where they were going to be working as they were walking across the stage when they were graduating. And then of the graduating class, 13% were attending graduate school and knew what college or university they would be attending. So basically, they already had their acceptance planned out. And then the median starting salary is 70%. That is a very broad and general number. It varies by location and what engineering major you go into. So please take that with a grain of salt, but that's just to give you an idea of where you'll be starting out once you graduate.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the scholarships. So for the freshmen, we have the Davenport Leadership Scholarship, the Pratt Engineering Scholarship, and then definitely financial aid. So please, please, please do not forget to do your financial aid before the priority deadline. I think Virginia Tech's priority deadline is like early January. So, even if you're not sure about applying to tech, still do the FAFSA for tech anyway. And just get that away. The earlier you do it, the more money you'll be eligible for. And we also have scholarships for Virginia Community College school transfer students. We have the Leo A. Pattis Scholarship for those students. We have for upperclassmen the College of Engineering funds and departmental scholarships. So if you don't get a lot of scholarships your freshman year, that's okay. Usually more of the money starts rolling in once you actually declare a major. When alumni graduate and they go back to the university, that's where a good chunk of where our scholarship money comes from. So they're going to donate back to their specific department, not necessarily general engineering, which is what every freshman will, be a part of their freshman year. And so this application will go out in March, and it's one application. They fill out a few things, write like one short essay, and then through that application, it will go and automatically apply them to all the other scholarships that they are eligible for. And then usually over the summer, like before your sophomore year, you'll start getting emails about scholarships and things like that.
So this slide just gives you some information on computer requirements as an engineering student. Just to preface this, they will send out a list of all the requirements that your laptop will need to be capable of, like usually in March, sometimes by April. So please, like if you need a laptop or you need to buy a laptop, wait until that list comes out before you do anything, just in case. But typically, your laptop needs to be able to convert into a tablet, so touchscreen. And then it says Windows 10 required. I do know students who prefer Mac, and so professors will teach based off of Windows 10, but usually there is like additional instructions, or like they post like instructions for Mac users as well. So if you're interested in using a Mac, like it's not like 100% no, but just definitely know that it might be a little bit extra work. But having a tablet is super important. I know a lot of students like to take notes on there, and it makes it easier for note taking. And then some of the programs that engineers need to run, like SolidWorks, as Jessica mentioned earlier, can take up like a lot of storage. So making sure that you have the storage and memory available in your laptop is really important. But again, please wait until March before you get that. And then another note, if you buy your laptop through the university bookstore, then it's guaranteed to fulfill all the requirements needed for your engineering graduating class. So if you are looking for where to get that laptop, you can definitely check out the bookstore, and that comes with a 4-year warranty. If you like break your laptop or drop it off of your dorm bed or something, they will fix it, repair it for free, and give you a loaner laptop while that's being repaired. But you can also get a loaner laptop through the library if you need it and your laptop is broken and being repaired, even if you don't get it through the university bookstore. All right, majors. this is electrical engineering, my major, but electrical engineering is so applicable to many things. If you like physics too, or like physics like electromagnetics or anything like that, um, electrical engineering could be the major for you. Um, there's tons of different things you could do with it. So you could go into like communications and networking. You could go into like power systems and energy. You could go into like space systems, rockets, um, nanosystems, and like transistors, anything like that. Tons of different applications, basically needed pretty much everywhere, especially like with all the climate change stuff going on right now. The picture that you see on the top left is Bolt. It's a design team that they're building an electric motorcycle that they race. Super cool opportunity if you're interested in that. And then some of the other pictures just show students working on different engineering projects pertaining to electrical engineering in like what is called the AMP Lab or Opal Lab. So tons of great opportunities and areas if you're interested in electrical engineering, definitely consider it.
So this is computer engineering. So a lot of people say like, what's the difference between computer engineering and computer science? And we'll go over the differences. So computer engineering focuses more, it has the coding aspect and working on the computer itself. So talking about chip scale integration, the controls, robotics and autonomy, machine learning. I know there was a question in the chat, is networking and cybersecurity. So while this isn't the name of the major, if you major in computer engineering, I think computer science also can do this as well. You can minor in cybersecurity, or you can integrate this into like your class schedule or your learning path. So when you get a degree at Virginia Tech, usually there's different tracks that you can do to focus and hone in on more of what you're interested in. So if you're interested more in networking and cybersecurity, then you would just work with your advisor and tailor your classes so that you can, focus on those types of things. And it helps because when you're looking for a job and they want you to have types of skills, you can go back and reference the different classes that you've taken.
If you think of electrical engineering as completely hardware and computer engineering as like a mix between hardware and software, then computer science is completely software. So they're doing all the coding and basically like making the hardware act like it should. So there's like Jessica said, a bunch of different tracks that you could do with it. Cybersecurity and networking can be one of those tracks, and like Jessica mentioned earlier, that can also be a part of computer engineering if that's what you decide to do. Um, there's a bunch of great opportunities for you to apply. Like if you really love coding, there's a bunch of different ways for you to get involved in like there's something like a hackathon, or like we have this place called the Cube, where basically a bunch of students go in and like run different types of really awesome programs. Um, but definitely a huge like growing area, needed everywhere. So if you like coding, definitely consider. There's also a pretty popular computer science minor. So if you're maybe torn between computer science and a different engineering major, you could also consider that as a minor.
So mechanical engineering, this is a super duper broad major. You can do literally whatever you want with this major. This is one of our biggest majors also. You can focus on automotives, design and manufacturing, energy, materials, and robotics and autonomy is also another big one that a lot of students focus on. We also have a lot of design teams that are focused around mechanical engineering as well, and they have a lot of the competitions that they are a part of.
So, aerospace engineering is kind of a more specific focus within mechanical. So, they're dealing with fluid dynamics in air. So, anything that flies basically is aerospace engineering. A lot of people go into commercial aircrafts or maybe space systems as well. Something really cool is that hanging from one of our academic buildings is a Rolls-Royce engine, and it's just like it was donated to the Virginia Tech Mechanical Engineering Department now. Like it's just this huge thing when you walk into a building, which is really cool. Also, you'll get some experience with aerospace engineering if you work on the drone project that Jessica mentioned earlier in the Foundations of Engineering course. Um, but basically anything that works with like fluid study of air. So like fluid dynamics, thermo, um, thermodynamics, and all that kind of stuff. That's what you'll be studying.
So ocean engineering, somewhat similar to aerospace, they take a lot of the same classes. So it is possible to double major in aerospace and ocean engineering. They focus on hydrodynamics, propulsion, a lot of naval engineering things as well, and vehicle dynamics. We also have quite a few design teams that focus in ocean engineering as well.
So, industrial systems engineering is basically like studying how to make things more efficient, especially like when considering human factors. So, like factory production lines, things like that, like how to basically make anything more efficient. They also work with companies a lot, so it is more business integrated. Definitely a lot of like consulting with different companies as well. So definitely, if you have an interest in business and you want to see how engineering ties in, ISE or industrial systems engineering could be the major for you.
So here we have chemical engineering. So chemical engineers are super duper important. They do a range of different things. A lot of it is working in a lab and bringing the small scale things into big industrial size things for manufacturing, things like that. So they focus a lot on biotechnology, energy, polymers is another big thing that the chemical engineers focus on. Some environmental factors as well, and they have a lot of research in this department. Also in this major, you have an option to you have to do a unit ops lab, and it's usually over the summer. And so sometimes you can do that either in Blacksburg over the summer, or you have an option to do it in Denmark or Germany, and you get the credits transferred. So some students like to go abroad, so they choose that for the summer.
Next engineering discipline we have is material science and engineering. So basically, the way I like to think of this major is like the chair that you're sitting on. Why did they decide to make the chair out of that material? So it deals with like forces, physics, and chemistry and polymers, things like that. Um, they have the VT Foundry, which is basically where you get to like melt down metal and make really cool things. That's a picture on the bottom right. A really cool story that material science engineers can talk about is that we had a football player, Cedric Hume, who broke his arm during the football season, and so he couldn't get like a standard cast because that could be like considered a weapon in the game. So they still wanted him to be able to play, but they had to like protect his arm from getting worse. So material science engineering students designed a cast that was safe enough to protect him and his arm from getting hurt further, and also soft enough where he wouldn't be a danger to other players. And they actually won the championship that year, so they can brag a little bit about that. But definitely, if you like the mix of like physics and chemistry, this is very much of an intermix between the two.
So now we have civil engineering. If you look it up on Virginia Tech's website, it'll say civil and environmental engineering. So they're like both in one department. So they focus in different things like construction, environmental, geotechnical, land development, transportation, and water resources. So when you take this major, you will have to take classes in almost at least half of the different disciplines in within civil engineering that they have. And then as you get towards your senior year, you're able to hone in on the one that you're most interested in, but it gives you different perspectives from the different sides of civil engineering.
So, construction engineering and management is another engineering discipline that is more business integrated. So, it was actually because people in industry were like, hey, it would be beneficial if you had a major that was kind of a mix between civil engineering and business. And so we have construction engineering and management. And those are the engineers that are basically like managing the team on the ground. They do a lot of consulting and working with the customer, but also like, you know, making things more efficient, making sure that the materials used are the best, and that the resources are still within budgets and constraints for the project. Um, something kind of funny is that they wear their hard. Some of them wear their hard hats at graduation. So, like you can see a picture of construction engineering and management engineer, the top left photo, but a lot of business integrated things here as well. And I'm pretty sure they also have, as Jessica mentioned earlier, their own career fair to basically network and gain those internship and co-op opportunities aside from our large one in the fall.
So here we have mining engineering, which is a pretty cool major. I hadn't heard of it, and I got tech. So, if you can't, make it in a lab or grow it out of the ground or grow it, from the ground, you have to mine it. And a lot of those minerals that we use is minerals that we use for different chips in our phones, and other things that are highly manufactured. So, some of the things that they focus on are exploration, evaluation, so evaluating the land, seeing how it is in its natural state, development, extraction, so taking the minerals out of the ground, and then processing, and then environmental management, which is super important because if they're blowing things up and like modifying how the ground already looks or how the land already looks, they have to figure out a way to put it back together to its original state or as close to its original state as possible, for environmental concerns and things like that. In this is a really small department, but it's really cool because all the students know each other. They know all the faculty by name and things like that. And then they have a lab that they do their junior year where they get to blow a lot of things up. And it's in our quarry that we have near campus, and then they get to, go there and do that lab. So they say it's a blast. So biological systems engineering, this is my major. This is another major I hadn't heard of until I got to tech. So there's different tracks that you can do. There's biotechnology, there's environmental health and engineering, food engineering, watershed science and engineering, and different health professions. This was also they have a pre-med track as well. So this is another major that students would do before we had the biomedical major. So you take almost about the same classes as those students, and you can also minor in biomedical, which is what a lot of students do if they're on that pre-med track. I'm on the watershed science and engineering track. So if you're very interested in watersheds, so lakes, rivers, and streams, and making sure they stay healthy, and we're keeping the environment clean in that regard, this is definitely the major for you. We do a lot of outside labs where we use a lot of streams and rivers nearby. So we go out and we do testing for like the pollution in the water and the stream velocity and a bunch of other things. So, and this is also a department which is really good because all the faculty will know your name and you'll know the faculty's name. Our advisor is super duper good. She knows everybody's name and knows them personally. So I really, really love this major. So yeah. And then for the biotechnology and food engineering, um, those are other two popular tracks within our major as well.
So biomedical engineering is our most recent addition to the engineering college. As of right now, it's a little bit different than the normal like general engineering process because you do need to apply, and once they reach that max capacity for this department, then they don't accept more. So it's a little bit harder to get into just because it's newer. But biomedical engineering is basically like anything pertaining to like the health and safety of a person. So that could be anything from like working on like prosthesis to maybe like creating an artificial heart for like someone who needs a heart transplant. So there's a lot of different opportunities available, definitely a really growing field. And, if you're maybe a little bit like, I don't know if I want to do this or not, there is a biomedical engineering minor that a lot of students have done just to make sure that they can still pursue these interests on top of a different engineering discipline.
So this was like a very, very brief overview of all the different majors that we have at Virginia Tech. If you'd like to learn more about each major individually, they all have their own website. So if you just look up whatever the major is called at VT, it'll pop up, or you can Google Explore Engineering at Virginia Tech, and it'll also pop up as well.
We like to close out the presentation with why we came to Virginia Tech. So for me personally, I was stuck on a couple different schools, and I actually went to an event called Women's Preview Weekend, which was hosted by the Living Learning community that we talked about earlier, Hypatia. Um, and I stayed overnight on campus, and I talked to a bunch of students and professors, and I was really shocked at like all the resources they were giving me. They were like, "You can do this and this and this, and like here, contact me, and let's set up a time for this." And I was like, "Well, I'm not even a student yet. Like I'm still in high school." And they're like, "It doesn't matter." And I was really shocked that there were so many people that cared about like helping me pursue my interests before I was even a student here, before I had even accepted my offer letter. So I knew that like Virginia Tech definitely cares about their students. They want you to succeed, and they're going to give you the resources that you need if you're struggling, to help you succeed and help you gain more knowledge and just get through and pursue your passion. So that's definitely, I think, something that not a lot of schools can say that they really pursue before they're like before you're a student at their university. So definitely Virginia Tech does care about their students. They'll make sure you succeed.
Yeah, to second everything Shannon said, Women's Preview Weekend was the same reason why I decided to go to Virginia Tech. I'm from North Carolina, so for me, it was in between NC State and Virginia Tech. So, um, Women's Preview Weekend really showed me how they have a nice, like, and very supportive system for not only all the engineers, specifically female engineers as well, since we are a minority in the field. Everyone was really trying to help each other, and it was more like healthy competition rather than like super duper competitive what I was used to in high school. They're really here to help you, especially, you live in a dorm with all engineers, so everyone's taking the same classes as you. So it's easier to go to your roommate and ask them for help with something rather than trying to like go all the way across campus to get help, and things like that. So that was another major plus for me too. Um, and also just like everyone is just so nice at this campus. I was very shocked on how nice and willing to help everyone was, and whether it came to just asking for directions or needing help finding something or talking to someone, everyone is really just here trying to make sure that you're doing well and you're being successful. So that's another thing that I find that was super duper great. And now that I'm here, if I didn't do the high patient program, which is the dorm that we were talking about earlier, I probably would have switched out because I didn't have that, support structure when I was in high school. So I didn't expect to have it when I got to college, but it was more than what I could ever ask for. So that's the reason why I came to Tech. So we can open for questions. So the first question we have is, um, asking, do some students struggle their first year doing the general engineering classes? So I would just honestly say, um, it is challenging because every school is different. So not everybody comes from the same high school. Like my high school was super regular. I did not have any extra like coding classes or anything like that. So when I came here, I did find it to be challenging, especially the workload. But having the different support systems that Shannon and I mentioned before, really helped me push through. They offer tremendous amount of resources in terms of like studying skills workshops or having tutoring sessions, and office hours from the professors, students themselves helping each other. So there's definitely ways in the support system for your student to be successful in whatever they do. And the reason why we start everybody out in general engineering is so that everyone starts out in the same slate, so that everyone can get accustomed to the major before they actually decide to declare and things like that.
I do also want to note that like the support systems that we talked about earlier, like Hypatia and Galileo, peer mentoring, Step, those all have like their own resources like tutoring and things like that. But also, if you're not in one of those programs, there is student services and like the Career Center who will help students who are adjusting and struggling find a tutor. You can have free tutoring. There's tons of different review sessions for those general education classes like chemistry, things like that. And the professors know that, some students might not have had the support system in high school or may not have developed study habits. So they definitely work with students to help, make sure that they succeed.
Is there a cap of number of students admitted to a specific major in their second year, as in the competition to getting to a specific major who meet PA requirement? So the answer to this is no. So like what we were saying before is if you have a 3.0, like you're gonna get in. So we'll take mechanical engineering example. So everybody with a 3.0 or higher, you're gonna get in mechanical. You don't have to worry about it. It doesn't matter if there's more students, say if we're only um, predicting maybe 500 students to be interested in mechanical and stuff like that, and 600 are interested, they'll stay in the classroom, add more classes, hire more TAs in order to, keep the class size at a decent size, and teach these classes for those students. So you don't have to worry about like too many students being crammed in one class. Like that's not going to happen. And if it's the other way around, say if only 300 students I know, then they'll go down, so the 2.99, 2.98, and things like that, in order for you to get into the major. For example, I didn't have the 3.0 at the end of my freshman year, and I just reapplied over the summer and then got in. Usually we take about the same classes similarly. Our sophomore year, you may be, if you're not in your major by your sophomore year, you're still going to be in general engineering, so you won't be like a random major after your freshman year. You'll be in general engineering until you declare a major, and you have up until your junior year to do so. Some other ways that students don't get into their first choice the first time is if they didn't pass one of their entry point classes. So say if they didn't pass physics, you still have to pass physics in order to declare your major and things like that. So those are some examples. You won't be like terribly super duper behind either. Some students make it up by taking summer classes if they didn't do so well their first semester, their second semester, and things like that.
There are also a couple questions on if there's a limit to Hypatia and Galileo. Yes, there is, because all students in Hypatia and Galileo live in the dorms. So they can only fit as many students as they can fit in Hoke Hall, which is the engineering dorm for that living learning community. Yes, you can apply before you have formally accepted your offer letter. And the waitlist depends each year. And typically, the Galileo waitlist is much longer than the Hypatia one, just because there are more male engineering students. So definitely, I recommend applying early. But yes, there is a limit.
Another one saying that you can apply to Galileo and Hypatia before you accept. Yes, you can. Once you get like your after you apply, you'll get like a Hokie email, like a Virginia Tech email, and then you can go in and apply for a dorm. So if you're a female and you want to apply to Hypatia, I highly would recommend doing it sooner than later. We usually always have spots left that never get filled for Hypatia, so make sure you fill those up. And then for Galileo, also, like Shannon was mentioning, those usually get filled up the quickest. So doing them sooner than later is the best thing that you can do.
Also, like, we've touched on this, like how we both did Hypatia and it was like super great for us, but like the community that you build also, like, it's professional development, it's academic help, but like the roommate that I had for Hypatia is still my roommate now 3 years later. So definitely the bonds that you build with your peers is strong, and like the support system in that living learning community is great. So definitely, especially if you're a female, like, it's a really great opportunity. Um,
Right.
there's another question. Can we double major? If yes, then how does the GPA requirement work? So yes, you can double major. It's harder because depending on what major you're doing, or what majors you want to double major in, sometimes the classes don't overlap as much, but you will need to like declare an initial major first, and then you can work with your academic advisor to double major. But you still would only declare one major at the end of your freshman year, and then you can decide to double major after that.
Do all students live in the dorm off 4 years, or do they get off campus? So there's a bunch of different scenarios. Most students live in the dorm for their freshman, maybe sophomore year, then they'll move off campus their junior and senior year. A lot of students also, after their freshman year, move off campus their sophomore year up to their senior year. If you're an RA, which is a residential advisor, meaning you're like helping, manage the dorm and things like that, then you would live in the dorm all 4 years, and you would live there, and you would get your housing paid for, and get paid and things like that. You can still apply to live in the dorm your junior and senior year, but just keep in mind they're going to prioritize the underclassmen before prioritizing you because the freshmen need to have that housing for their first year.
And then, what are the college requirements on staying in the dorm? So, if you want to stay in the dorm your freshman year, for my year, we had to stay in the dorm as a freshman. That has since changed, but you basically apply to the dorm that you want to live in. If you join an LLC, then like if you're accepted into that living learning community, then you'll automatically be put in that dorm. And then afterwards, you like as a sophomore, you apply. Like later, and then the type of room that you're staying in depends on the dorm as well.
So usually in a typical dorm room, you'll have a dorm room and it's just you and your roommate. Some dorms, it's like a suite style dorm, so it'll be like a big room and it'll have 3 rooms in that room, and you may be one by yourself or you may have 2 roommates in one room, but there's basically like 5 or 6 of y'all living in this space, and they have like a little living room area. So that's like certain dorms have that, but not all of them. But most of the time you'll just be 2 people. It's rare that you're in a suite or a room by yourself.
Also, when you apply to the dorm, there's like a description of the type of like dorm rooms in that building. So like if you have suite style, like Jessica just mentioned, that'll be in the description when you apply to the dorm. And I think there's also pictures so you can kind of see like what it would look like.
There's a question saying, are there any specific classes you must take in high school to apply to engineering? I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe Calc 1 may be a requirement, but I do know some people who never took Calc 1 and still got into the College of Engineering. I think there's a list of like recommended courses that you should take, which may be like AP Physics, AP Calc, AP Chemistry. So if you have those offered to you at your school, I would highly recommend taking those. If you had to prioritize what to take, I would take um, all the calculus classes you can first and try to get credit for those. And then second, I would prioritize physics and then chemistry last.
Definitely.
That's another question we often get.
They do offer like Calc 1 here. So if you don't get transfer credit or maybe you don't end up taking it for some reason, Virginia Tech does offer you take it. Like it is a requirement to continue on in engineering. But like Jessica said, definitely take those classes, even if you don't get credit for them and they don't transfer over. It's super, super helpful to have that background going into Calc 1 or Calc 2 at Tech or any of the science classes so that you have that foundation beforehand. You're not starting from scratch.
So thank you everyone for coming.